Cape Town is a city in South Africa. It ranks third among the most populous urban areas in South Africa, after Johannesburg and Durban, and has roughly the same population as the Durban metropolitan area. It is also the provincial capital and primate city of the Western Cape. As the seat of the national parliament, it is also the legislative capital of the country. It forms part of the City of Cape Town Metropolitan Municipality. The city is famous for its harbour, for its natural setting in the Cape Floristic region, as well as for such well-known landmarks as Table Mountain and Cape Point. As of 2014, it is the 10th most populous city in Africa and home to 64% of the Western Cape's population. It is one of the most multicultural cities in the world, reflecting its role as a major destination for immigrants and expatriates to South Africa. The city was named the World Design Capital for 2014 by the International Council of Societies of Industrial Design. In 2014, Cape Town was named the best place in the world to visit by both the New York Times and the Telegraph. Located on the shore of Table Bay, Cape Town was first developed by the Dutch East India Company as a victualling station for Dutch ships sailing to East Africa, India, and the Far East. Jan van Riebeeck's arrival on 6 April 1652 established the first permanent European settlement in South Africa. Cape Town quickly outgrew its original purpose as the first European outpost at the Castle of Good Hope, becoming the economic and cultural hub of the Cape Colony. Until the Witwatersrand Gold Rush and the development of Johannesburg, Cape Town was the largest city in South Africa. History. The earliest known remnants in the region were found at Piers Cave in Fishhoek and date to between 15,000 and 12,000 years ago. Little is known of the history of the region's first residents, since there is no written history from the area before it was first mentioned by Portuguese explorer Bartolomeu Dias in 1486. Vasco da Gama recorded a sighting of the Cape of Good Hope in 1497. In the late 16th century, Portuguese, French, Danish, Dutch and English ships regularly stopped over in Table Bay en route to the Indies. They traded tobacco, copper, and iron with the Khoi in exchange for fresh meat. In 1652, Jan van Riebeeck and other employees of the Dutch East India Company were sent to the Cape to establish a way station for ships travelling to the Dutch East Indies, and the Fort de Gouda Hoop. The settlement grew slowly during this period, as it was hard to find adequate labor. This labor shortage prompted the authorities to import slaves from Indonesia and Madagascar. Many of these became ancestors of the first Cape-colored communities. Under Van Riebeeck and his successors as VOC commanders and later governors at the Cape, an impressive range of useful plants were introduced to the Cape, in the process changing the natural environment forever. Some of these, including grapes, cereals, ground nuts, potatoes, apples and citrus, had an important and lasting influence on the societies and economies of the region. During the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars, the Netherlands was repeatedly occupied by France, and Great Britain moved to take control of Dutch colonies. Britain captured Cape Town in 1795, but the Cape was returned to the Netherlands by treaty in 1803. British forces occupied the Cape again in 1806 following the Battle of Blauberg-Strand. In the Anglo-Dutch Treaty of 1814, Cape Town was permanently ceded to Britain. It became the capital of the newly formed Cape Colony, whose territory expanded very substantially through the 1800s. With expansion, came calls for greater independence from Britain, with the Cape attaining its own parliament in 1854, and a locally accountable prime minister in 1872. Suffrage was established according to the non-racial, but sexist Cape Qualified franchise. The discovery of diamonds in Griqualand West in 1867, and the Witwatersrand Gold Rush in 1886, prompted a flood of immigrants to South Africa. Conflicts between the Boer republics in the interior and the British colonial government resulted in the Second Boer War of 1899–1902, which Britain won. In 1910, Britain established the Union of South Africa, which unified the Cape Colony with the two defeated Boer republics and the British colony of Natal. Cape Town became the legislative capital of the Union, and later of the Republic of South Africa. In the 1948 national elections, the National Party won on a platform of apartheid under the slogan of "Swart Gevaar." This led to the erosion and eventual abolition of the Cape's multiracial franchise, as well as to the Group Areas Act, which classified all areas according to race. Formerly multiracial suburbs of Cape Town were either purged of unlawful residents or demolished. The most infamous example of this in Cape Town was District 6. After it was declared a whites-only region in 1965, all housing there was demolished and over 60,000 residents were forcibly removed. Many of these residents were relocated to the Cape Flats and Lavender Hill. Under apartheid, the Cape was considered a colored labor preference area, to the exclusion of Bantus, i.e., African school students from Langa, Gugulethu and Nyanga in Cape Town reacted to the news of protests against Bantu education in Soweto in June 1976 and organized gatherings and marches, which were met with resistance from the police. A number of school buildings were burnt down. Cape Town was home to many leaders of the anti-apartheid movement. On Robben Island, a former penitentiary island 10 kilometers from the city, many famous political prisoners were held for years. In one of the most famous moments marking the end of apartheid, Nelson Mandela made his first public speech since his imprisonment, from the balcony of Cape Town City Hall hours after being released on the 11th of February 1990. His speech heralded the beginning of a new era for the country, and the first democratic election was held 4 years later, on the 27th of April 1994. Nobel Square in the Victoria and Alfred waterfront features statues of South Africa's 4 Nobel Peace Prize winners: Albert Luthuli, Desmond Tutu, W. de Klerk and Nelson Mandela. Since 1994, the city has struggled with problems such as drugs, a surge in violent drug-related crime and more recently gang violence. At the same time, the economy has surged to unprecedented levels due to the boom in the tourism and the real estate industries. With a Gini coefficient of 0.67, Cape Town has the highest rate of equality in South Africa. Geography. Cape Town is located at latitude 33.55 degrees south and longitude 18.25 degrees east. Table Mountain, with its near-vertical cliffs and flat-topped summit over 1,000 meters high, and with Devil's Peak and Lion's Head on either side, together form a dramatic mountainous backdrop enclosing the central area of Cape Town, the so-called City Bowl. A thin strip of cloud, known colloquially as the tablecloth, sometimes forms on top of the mountain. To the immediate south, the Cape Peninsula is a scenic mountainous spine jutting 40 kilometers southwards into the Atlantic Ocean and terminating at Cape Point. There are over 70 peaks above 300 meters within Cape Town's official city limits. Many of the city's suburbs lie on the large plain called the Cape Flats, which extends over 50 kilometers to the east and joins the peninsula to the mainland. The Cape Flats is situated on what is known as a rising marine plain, consisting mostly of sandy geology and confirming that at one point Table Mountain was itself an island. The Cape Town region generally, with its Mediterranean climate, extensive coastline, rugged mountain ranges, coastal plains, inland valleys and semi-desert fringes, has much in common with Southern California. Climate. Cape Town has a warm summer Mediterranean climate, with mild, moderately wet winters and dry, warm summers. Winter, which lasts from the beginning of June to the end of August, may see large cold fronts entering for limited periods from the Atlantic Ocean with significant precipitation and strong northwesterly winds. Winter months in the city average a maximum of 18.0 degrees Celsius and minimum of 8.5 degrees Celsius. Total annual rainfall in the city averages 515 millimeters. Summer, which lasts from early December to March, is warm and dry with an average maximum of 26.0 degrees Celsius and minimum of 16.0 degrees Celsius. The region can get uncomfortably hot when the berg wind, meaning mountain wind, blows from the Karoo interior for a couple of weeks in February or early March. Late spring and early summer may sometimes feature a strong wind from the southeast, known locally as the ʻkɑːpsthteot, so called because it blows air pollution away. This wind is caused by a high-pressure system which sits in the South Atlantic to the west of Cape Town, known as the South Atlantic High. Cape Town's average amount of sunshine per year compares favorably with that of Los Angeles and exceeds that of Athens and Madrid. Water temperatures range greatly, between 10 degrees Celsius on the Atlantic seaboard, to 22 degrees Celsius in False Bay. Average annual ocean temperatures are between 13 degrees Celsius on the Atlantic seaboard, and 17 degrees Celsius in False Bay. Flora and fauna located in a sea biodiversity hotspot as well as the unique Cape Floristic region. The city of Cape Town has one of the highest levels of biodiversity of any equivalent area in the world. These protected areas are a World Heritage Site, and an estimated 2,200 species of plants are confined to Table Mountain, more than exist in the whole of the United Kingdom, which has 1,200 plant species and 67 endemic plant species. Many of these species, including a great many types of protease, are endemic to the mountain and can be found nowhere else. It is home to a total of 19 different vegetation types, of which several are completely endemic to the city and occur nowhere else in the world. It is also the only habitat of hundreds of endemic species, and hundreds of others which are severely restricted or threatened. This enormous species diversity is mainly because the city is uniquely located at the convergence point of several different soil types and microclimates. Table Mountain has an unusually rich biodiversity. Its vegetation consists predominantly of several different types of the unique and rich Cape fynbos. The main vegetation type is endangered peninsular sandstone fynbos, but critically endangered peninsular granite fynbos. Peninsular shale Renister veld and Afro-montane forest occur in smaller portions on the mountain. Unfortunately, rapid population growth and urban sprawl has covered much of these ecosystems with development. Consequently, Cape Town now has over 300 threatened plant species and 13 which are now extinct. The Cape Peninsula, which lies entirely within the city of Cape Town, has the highest concentration of threatened species of any continental area of equivalent size in the world. Tiny remnants of critically endangered or near-extinct plants often survive on roadsides, pavements and sports fields. The remaining ecosystems are partially protected through a system of over 30 nature reserves, including the massive Table Mountain National Park. Suburbs. Cape Town's urban geography is influenced by the contours of Table Mountain, its surrounding peaks, the Durbanville Hills, and the expansive lowland region known as the Cape Flats. These geographic features in part divide the city into several commonly known groupings of suburbs, many of which developed historically together and share common attributes of language and culture. City Bowl. The City Bowl is a natural amphitheater-shaped area bordered by Table Bay and defined by the mountains of Signal Hill, Lion's Head, Table Mountain and Devil's Peak. The area includes the central business district of Cape Town, the harbour, the company's garden, and the residential suburbs of De Waterkant. Devil's Peak, District 6, Zonblow M, Gardens, Bo Kaap, Higavale, Orange Zicht, Shotja Kloof, Tambers Kloof, University Estate, Verdeehoek, Walmer Estate and Woodstock. Atlantic Seaboard. The Atlantic Seaboard lies west of Cape Town and Table Mountain, and is characterized by its beaches, cliffs, promenade and hillside communities. The area includes, from north to south, the neighborhoods of Green Point, Mooley Point, Three Anchor Bay, Sea Point, Fresnaye, Bantry Bay, Clifton, Camps Bay, Llandudno, and Hout Bay. The Atlantic seaboard has some of the most expensive real estate in South Africa, particularly on Nettleton and Clifton Roads in Clifton, Ocean View Drive and St. Leon Avenue in Bantry Bay, Teresa Avenue in Bakoven and Fisherman's Bend in Llandudno. Camps Bay is home to the highest concentration of multimillionaires in Cape Town and has the highest number of high-priced mansions in South Africa, with more than 155 residential units exceeding R20 million. West Coast. The West Coast suburbs lie along the beach to the north of the Cape Town city centre, and include Blouberg, Strand, Milnerton, Tableview, West Beach, Big Bay, Sunset Beach, Sunningdale and Parklands, as well as the exurbs of Atlantis and Melkbos. The Coburg nuclear power station is located within this area, and maximum housing density regulations are enforced in much of the area surrounding the nuclear plant. Northern suburbs. The northern suburbs are mostly Afrikaans-speaking, and include Belleville, Bothaville, Brooklyn, Burgundy Estate, Durbanville, Edgemead, Elsie's River, Factoryton, Goodwood, Kensington, Maitland, Monte Vista, Panorama, Perth, Richwood, Thornton, Tableview, and Welgemoed. Much of the northern suburbs is colloquially known as Tygerberg and is home to Tygerberg Hospital, the largest hospital in the Western Cape and second largest in South Africa. Southern suburbs. The southern suburbs hug along the eastern slopes of Table Mountain, southeast of the city centre. This area has mixed languages but is predominantly English-speaking, and includes, from north to south, Rondebosch, Pinelands, Newlands, Mowbray, Observatory, Bishopscourt, Claremont, Winburg, Plumstead, Ottery, and Bergvliet. West of Winburg lies Constantia, which, in addition to being a wealthy neighborhood, is a notable wine-growing region within the city of Cape Town. South Peninsula. The South Peninsula is generally regarded as the area south of Muizenberg and False Bay and Noordhoek on the Atlantic Ocean, all the way to Cape Point. Until recently quite rural. The population of the area is growing quickly as new coastal developments proliferate and larger plots are subdivided to provide more compact housing. It includes Capri Village, Clovelly, Fishhoek, Glencairn, Kalk Bay, Comagee, Masai Malele, Muizenberg, Noordhoek, Ocean View, Scarborough, Simons Town, St. James, Sunnydale, Sun Valley, and Steenberg. South Africa's largest naval base is located at Simons Town Harbour as well as Boulders Beach, the site of a large colony of African penguins. Eastern suburbs. The eastern suburbs lie southeast of the Afrikaans-speaking neighborhood in the northern suburbs, beyond the airport, and notably at the site of several new subsidized housing projects. Communities include Fairdale, Brackenfell, Kraaifontein, Koels River, Blue Downs, Belhar, Delft, Mafuleni and Protea Hoogte. Cape Flats. The Cape Flats is an expansive, low-lying, flat area situated to the southeast of the central business district of Cape Town. From the 1950s the area became home to people the apartheid government designated as non-white and has been described by some as apartheid's dumping ground. Race-based legislation such as the Group Areas Act and pass laws either force non-white people out of more central urban areas designated for white people and into government-built townships in the flats, or made living in the area illegal, forcing many people designated as black into informal settlements elsewhere in the flats. Since then the flats have been home to much of the population of Greater Cape Town. This area includes the neighborhoods of Mitchell's Plain, Athlone, Elsie's River, Hanover Park, Bishop Lavis, Manenberg, Strandfontein, Gugglethu, Nyanga, Langa, and Khayelitsha. Government. Cape Town's local government is the City of Cape Town, which is a metropolitan municipality. Cape Town is governed by a 221-member city council. The city is divided into 111 electoral wards. Each ward directly elects one member of the council, whilst the other 110 councillors are elected by a system of party list proportional representation. The executive mayor and executive deputy mayor are chosen by the city council. In the local government elections of the 18th of May 2011, the Democratic Alliance won an outright majority, taking 135 of the 221 council seats. The African National Congress, the national ruling party, received 73 seats. As a result of this victory, Patricia de Lille, the DA mayoral candidate, was inaugurated as executive mayor on 1 June. Demographics. According to the South African National Census of 2011, the population of the city of Cape Town Metropolitan Municipality, an area that includes suburbs and exurbs not always considered as part of Cape Town, is 3,740,026 people. This represents an annual growth rate of 2.6% compared to the results of the previous census in 2001, which found a population of 2,892,243 people. The sex ratio is 96, meaning that there are slightly more women than men. 42.4% of the population described themselves as colored, 15.7% as white, 38.6% as black African, and 1.4% as Indian or Asian. In 1944, 47% of the city's population was white, 46% was colored, less than 6% was black African, and 1% was Asian. Of those residents who were asked about their first language, 35.7% spoke Afrikaans, 29.8% spoke Xhosa, and 28.4% spoke English. 24.8% of the population is under the age of 15, while 5.5% is 65 or older. Of those residents aged 20 or older, 1.8% have no schooling, 8.1% have some schooling but did not finish primary school, 4.6% finished primary school but have no secondary schooling, 38.9% have some secondary schooling but did not finish grade 12, 29.9% finished grade 12 but have no higher education, and 16.7% have higher education. Overall, 46.6% have at least a grade 12 education. Of those aged between 5 and 25, 67.8% are attending an educational institution. Amongst those aged between 15 and 65, the unemployment rate is 23.7%. The average annual household income is R161,762. There are 1,068,573 households in the municipality, giving an average household size of 3.3 people. Of those households, 78.4% are in formal structures, while 20.5% are in informal structures. 94.0% of households use electricity for lighting. 87.3% of households have piped water to the dwelling, while 12.0% have piped water through a communal tap. 94.9% of households have regular refuse collection service. 91.4% of households have a flush toilet or chemical toilet, while 4.5% still use a bucket toilet. 82.1% of households have a refrigerator, 87.3% have a television, and 70.1% have a radio. Only 34.0% have a landline telephone, but 91.3% have a cell phone. 37.9% have a computer, and 49.3% have access to the Internet.